Yeah, there definitely is an element within the atheist community of people who are not honestly skeptical thinkers. The emotionally driven atheists, the people who may have made the right choice, but for the wrong reasons. They never really fully examined it, and oftentimes they react in a very gut emotional manner, just as theists often do, and these are the ones who tend most often to be the wishy-washy, swing back and forth types, and oftentimes they can be downright dickish, or they can be utterly incomplete accommodationalists. And I don't want to rock the boat or in any way cause strife here between in this community. These are the people who often refer to themselves as spiritual but not religious as well. You'll see that
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes. Um, but yeah, there's definitely that element of the atheist community. And should we exclude them from the atheist community? No. Should we exclude them from the skeptical community as far as being identified as skeptics? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying we exclude them from the club. I'm just saying that we shouldn't let these people be lumped in with the skeptical community and being lumped in with skeptics as far as criticism or anything along those lines. So if people want to criticize those people for their action or their behavior or their views, fine, but don't pretend that they are.
Representative.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't pretend that they're in any way us or necessarily even like us. Just because they've come to the same conclusion that there isn't a God doesn't mean that they came to that conclusion for the same reason that we did, or that they have the same worldviews as we do.
Yeah. Or
Um,
that
I, and I've
they came to it in any kind of rational,
Yeah,
for any kind of
exactly.
rational reason.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's a lot like this tendency to lump evolution and atheism together, and it's like I've I've actually had some pretty in-depth conversations with some profoundly ignorant people who were atheists who still were uncomfortable with the concept of evolution, didn't understand it, didn't believe it. Um, I recall at least two pretty extended conversations with people online, and I could have been getting poed. I don't know, but I don't think so. But at least two fairly protracted conversations with people where they claimed that they were atheists. They didn't believe in God. They thought that the whole religious concept was stupid. It was conspiracy or whatever. But they didn't believe in it, and but at the same time they were utterly confused with this idea of speciation. And how can a fish turn into a person? And even
Yeah.
after explaining these things to them, they oftentimes still don't get it. Um, so yeah, there are definitely those elements within the atheist community, but these are the same kinds of atheists who probably watch Ghost Hunters and John Edwards and all this kind of crap that's on sci-fi.
Yeah. There is the distinction to be made between skepticism and atheism. And again, I absolutely agree that atheism should be a result of properly applied skepticism.
Yeah, well, I think there's a problem here when there's been a discussion recently about, well, are skeptics a subset of atheists, or atheists a subset of skeptics? Well, I think that I don't think that's a really effective way of describing it. I think the only way you can really think about it is Venn diagrams. And if you were to do a Venn diagram of it, you would see that there's definitely some overlap, but one isn't necessarily a subset of the other. There are atheists who are skeptics, and there are skeptics who are atheists. There are skeptics who are not atheists. There are atheists who are not skeptics. Now, of the skeptical atheist side of the house, and I agree with them, would say that the theistic side is not applying skepticism across the board. They're making exceptions for it. They're They're either making exceptions for it because, like we talked about at the beginning here, they want to plead, they want a special plead and say, well, the rules don't apply here because it's outside of the realm of science, or they want to just out and out say, I'm unwilling to apply skepticism to this topic because it makes me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. If
Well,
there's anything else you want to add?
Well, I think that, again, I still think that, though I do agree that there are plenty of atheists who are not skeptics, atheism is the kind of atheism that we're talking about as it applies to how you and I came to it, and how I'm starting to sort of see what you mean with more of the Venn diagrams thing. But I think if you are if you are not an atheist, if you're a skeptic and you're properly applying it across the board, skepticism as it applies to God should be in with the bundle.
Yes. My point, though, is that it's two overlapping circles. It's not concentric circles. One doesn't lie completely within the other. It's two circles that happen to have overlapping borders. Some lie within the same common shared border, some lie outside of that border. I don't think it works to try and pretend that one is a subset of the other. I do think that, and not to create a freaking no true Scotsman fallacy, but I think proper skepticism isn't the definition we're using here. If we're doing a visual representation as a Venn diagram, then we're not talking about proper skepticism, because I think proper skepticism really would create a concentric circle, one circle within the other.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
If you are applying skepticism in all facets of this particular kind of claim, atheism is a logical subset of that. Just as not believing in ghosts is a problem. Because there's plenty of people who don't believe in ghosts but believe in God. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's lots of Venn diagrams, but I think that it's looking at it in two different ways. It's the way that you're, I think, trying to explain it is people who categorize themselves as certain things. They're the atheists who aren't skeptics and the skeptics who aren't atheists. And then there's the atheists who are also skeptics. Mm-hmm. Which again,
and then there's obviously the other set of theists who aren't skeptics.
Yeah.
At all.
But because honestly, if I look at it, if I turn the lens in on myself, my atheism did come first, and then using the atheist model of how to scrutinize a particular belief, I was able to get rid of a lot of other irrational beliefs. My skepticism,
in general terms,
didn't necessarily